Chapter 8 A World of Darkness. The journey to the Underworld took a very long time. After all, Gordania was the biggest land in Rosium besides Dragonia. The land of Gordania only became more narrow as they headed north. At the edge, the gates of the Underworld was found. The flat land of Gordania started to change once the three friends were closing in. The plains changed into rocky hills. The gate was carved in the hills and led downwards. Dark clouds were hovering above the area. On the gate, the word hell was written down. "We ready to do this?" Drake asked for clarification. "Yeah, sure. Got nothing better to do anyway," Haru said, trying to hide his fear by making a joke. "I suppose we should go in," Julia said. "Let's go," Drake said. They stepped through the gate and followed rough-looking stairs all the way down. This way, they entered a world of darkness. "Anyone else having second thoughts?" Haru asked. It was quiet, dark, ominous. They made it to the bottom of the stairs and stood at the foot of a river. "Who is that?" Julia asked them. A figure arose from the water. A person, cloaked in old cloth, stood straight up in a boat while rowing towards them. "It's the ferryman," Drake answered. "The ferryman?" Julia replied. When the ferryman came closer, they noticed his body was merely bones. When he reached the shore, he stared at the three children. "Don't worry, you shouldn't hurt us," Drake told them. The ferryman raised his arm and stuck out his hand. "You sure?" Haru tried to clarify. The ferryman lets others pass the river, called the Styx. Of course, not without payment. Drake recalled what Haven gave him, 3 golden coins. Drake reached for them in his pocket and gave them to him, each for every passenger. The ferryman took the coins with his finger bones. He gave them permission to come aboard. "How did you get those coins?" Julia asked. "Haven gave them to me." "How generous." Once they all were aboard, the ferryman started rowing. He remained completely silent the whole ride long. They couldn't see their surroundings, only the water. There was nothing that made any sound. When they reached the other side, they dismounted the boat. "Thank you," Drake said. And the ferryman turned around, and he and his boat slowly started sinking. He still remained silent. When the ferryman was gone, Julia took a deep breath. This is where it really starts. A few minutes passed. Carefully and with watchful eyes, they traveled through the Underworld. It was dark, and their surroundings were a lot like a cave. It was rocky, rough, and their voices echoed. After a while, they made it to a different area. The temperature rose and the cave expanded. There were multiple passages, but on their way they saw the ruins of buildings, old-fashioned buildings destroyed and uninhabited. They discovered that the ground was cracked, and the cracks formed ravines. At the bottom, lava once again. "Guys, come take a look," Haru said. Drake and Julia walked towards him and looked at what Haru was looking at. Something was written down on one of the walls. Darren was here. "Darren?" Julia said, surprised. "That guy is full of surprises," Drake said. "How did he even get here?" Julia asked. "That is a question I cannot possibly know the answer of," Drake replied. They thought it was very unlikely for Darren to ever get to the Underworld, and decided to continue their quest. They chose a random passage, not knowing which was the right one. Eventually, they found more written words. "Don't go any further," or "You can't take her on alone." "What does that mean?" Julia asked. "I don't know," Drake answered. While they continued walking, they passed several statues of humans, dwarves, and elves. "These statues don't really add anything to the environment," Julia said. "They're so out of place." Haru found more written words. "These statues could be you." "What does that mean?" Drake's expression changed in a second, as he realized what it all meant. He looked around and saw the statues clearer. The statues looked scared, shocked, or angry. Some were praying and some were stuck in a fighting position. "Go back," Drake said. "What? Now!" "Drake, what is it?" Julia asked. But before Drake could answer, they heard laughter. It sounded like the laughter of a witch. They saw something move behind the buildings, and it looked like the tail of a snake. "Don't look into her eyes! Her eyes, what do you—" "Oh no," Julia said, realizing what they were about to face. The laughter continued, and it came closer. An arrow flew right by Haru's head. He startled and took a step back. What was— The monster was approaching them. Haru could see its tail and tried to spot what else came towards them. Drake started blocking Haru's view and pushed him away. "Whatever you do, Haru, don't look her in her eyes. It's Medusa." Medusa was known as one of the titans that lived in the Underworld. Drake didn't know it, but in Rosium she was named Serpanse. Her gaze could turn anyone who looks into her eyes to stone. "We have to run." The moment the three started running away, Serpanza came after them. She was extremely fast because she was part snake and could maneuver through the rubble easily. She was carrying a crossbow and tried to shoot them, but missed again. The three tried to hide behind the buildings. "Drake, what are we going to do?" Julia asked quietly. "Come out!" Serpanza shouted. "Well, you know me," Drake whispered back. "Improv?" "Improv." They started running again as fast as they could, dodging all obstacles on their path and arrows coming their way. Eventually, the path was blocked by a ravine that they had to get over. "Jump!" They took the leap and all made it across, but the part that Julia landed on broke off. She managed to grab the edge just in time. "Julia, help!" Drake tried to pull Julia up, but Serpanza arrived on the other side. She readied another arrow on her crossbow and aimed at Drake. "No!" Drake shouted when he saw Serpanza still slithering on the other side. "Another one to add to my collection," she said wickedly. "Die, witch!" Haru yelled suddenly. Haru threw his boomerang while keeping his eyes closed. Serpanza didn't see it coming and was beheaded at the spot. Suddenly, it was quiet. Drake pulled Julia up, and when she made it back up safely, they looked at what happened. They were completely flabbergasted when they saw Serpanza's head and her body lying on the floor motionlessly. Haru still had his eyes closed and slowly and carefully opened them. "Oh," he said. "Did that just happen?" Drake said. "Psst, Drake, isn't she supposed to be, really strong?" Julia asked. "She, in fact, is a titan. Haru just killed a titan. Just like that." "Heck yeah," Haru said, fired up. "Hell yeah," Drake followed up, still flabbergasted. "You think that head can still turn people to stone?" Julia asked. "I think I recall reading about that being a thing, yes," Drake answered. "Should we take it?" "I'd rather not." "Why not? It can go in my trophy room," Haru said. "You have a trophy room?" Julia asked. "Well, no, but I'll make one." "Just leave it be," Drake said. "Yeah, it's gross," Julia said. "Fine," Haru replied, disappointed. They continued walking. He killed a freaking titan. Drake could still not believe what Haru did so easily. Their search went on for hours. After all, they had no idea where they were going. At some point, they entered an area that looked like a prison, but they decided to ignore it. Drake secretly knew to stay away from it, as he knew what danger it held. But at last, their search ended when someone heard their footsteps. "Who's there?" "Hello?" Drake said back. "Helm, is that you?" "Depends. Who is there?" They followed the man's voice. "My name is Drake. I'm with Haru and Julia. I suppose you've heard of us already, if you're Helm." "What? Drake? Who sent you to the Underworld?" They found the room Helm was kept in. A cage made out of dark magic kept Helm from escaping. "Did my brother set you up for this? He sends a group of children?" "I'm afraid so." "He's so irresponsible." "How do we get you out of here?" "If I knew that, I would have told you already." "Guys, we might want to keep it down in case Mordor comes back," Julia said. "And why would he do that?" Helm said. "To prevent you from escaping? To attack us?" Drake replied. "Oh, he wouldn't want to go back here, and besides, he's busy conquering Rosium. He has no reason to return here." "He's what?" "He's currently gathering his army, is he not? Attacking Dragonia? Who knows how far he's come?" "No, don't tell me." "He escaped?" Julia said. "You didn't know?" "When did he escape?" Haru asked. "Several days ago. What have you been doing in the meantime?" "Not the tests. They even told us to go here and prevent Moira from escaping and to free you," Julia said. "If it were the case that he did escape, Haven and the other gods would try to stop them." "He cannot defeat him. None of the gods can." "You're supposed to be immortal, not?" Drake said. "Yes, but Mordor is not just a dark wizard. There's something that makes him stronger than us, and we don't know what it is, but it's made us vulnerable." "What do we do?" Haru asked. "Well, get me out for an instance." Suddenly, a white and blue source of light appeared, revealing Haven and Pi. "Brother, you fool!" Helm said. "I'm sorry, children," Haven said. "We tried to stop him, but his army is ready and we cannot oppose him." "You cannot defeat his army? You have more than a dozen gods on your side," Helm said. "Helm, bad news. Aaron was wounded by a mere raven." "The god of war got hurt by a raven? Well, that's just pathetic." "Helm, just understand. We're no longer immortal, not to anyone or anything. We're so doomed." "Drake, Haru, I need your help. Julia, stand back. Now, boys, I need you to focus and think of your gifts. Air and fire. Aim at the ground. Pi will help you, and together you should be able to free him." Drake and Haru moved their hands forwards and aimed at the ground underneath Helm's cage. Pi aimed with his trident, and after the boys could focus well enough, Drake was able to summon fire, and Haru was capable of controlling the air. Pi, Haru, and Drake used the power of water, air, and fire, and after it started combining with the earth underneath Helen's cage, it formed around the bars of the cage. The black magic slowly decreased and the cage turned to normal metal. They stopped bending and Helen told them to take their distance. "Step back." And so they did, and when they were far enough, he moved his arms and a strong blow of dark energy made the cage break into many pieces. Helen was finally free. "Oh, I have missed my powers," he said. "What did we just do?" Drake tried to say until Haven interrupted. "You kids ready for one more fight?" Haven asked. "Not exactly," Julia replied. "When are we ever?" Drake replied. "Well, I killed that snake woman, so I think I can take on Mordor without a problem," Haru said, proud, yet as a joke. "Alright, let's go," Haven said. And so they all came together, ready to defeat Mordor once and for all. Before they vanished, Helen recalled what Haru said. "Wait, you killed who now?" When they reappeared at the border of Gordania, with a gate to the Underworld a few hundred meters behind them, an all-too-familiar voice began to speak. "And there we are again, at the edge of war. Congratulations on freeing Helen, even though he just served as bait for Sapansa. But I see she failed, where I won't. Come to me on Uranian, where we can settle things once and for all. Shall we, Drake?" Mordor's voice stopped and it was quiet. "I knew it," Haven said. "Alright, I told the others to meet me at the temple, and together we will go to war. Helen, you willing to aid us?" "Of course, my brother. That wanker is going to pay for what he did to me. Go now, I'll protect them." "Thank you, brother." "See you on the other side," Pi said. Haven and Pi vanished. "How long have you three been in Gordania?" Helen asked. "We started our quest to the Underworld when Mordor was still trapped," Drake said. "So I'm afraid if what you said is true, we've been here for a few too many days." "Thought so. Haven has told you what happens the moment you step out of Gordania, right?" "He has. We'll try to hide somewhere, as he said." "Okay, if that doesn't work, there's plan B." "And that is?" They finally made it out of the world of darkness, though they couldn't yet escape the world of darkness Mordor had created. A terribly difficult challenge was awaiting them, but not everything was lost yet. Perhaps you've met Somno.